This was posted at 3 a.m. India time. For 3 minutes, just 180 seconds, this cryptic post was live on Jenny's Instagram story before being mysteriously deleted. We have the screenshot. It was a single word against a stark, unforgiving black background, and it has fans terrified that Jenny is in a situation she can't escape. This wasn't a meme, it wasn't a joke, it wasn't a mistake. This was a digital cry for help, a flare shot up in the dead of night from a ship that the whole world thought was sailing on calm seas. A single word, help, and then it was gone, erased, as if it never happened. But we saw it, and we will not forget it. Before we dive deep into the chilling evidence and the web of control that we believe this post exposes, I need you to do something. If you're here, it's because you don't just watch these shows, you feel them. You see the people behind the edits, and you care about what happens when the cameras stop rolling. If you believe in looking deeper, in reading between the lines, and in the power of a community that pays attention, then please take a second to hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that this story matters. And subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because the more people who are watching, who are aware of this pattern we're about to break down, the safer she might be. Your subscription isn't just a number. It's another pair of eyes on a situation that is becoming more terrifying by the day. Now, let's get back to the truth. Hours later, after that desperate silent scream into the digital void was swallowed by the darkness, this appeared. All smiles. A perfectly curated image of domestic bliss. Look at it. Jenny and Sumit laughing, maybe in a local market, maybe preparing a meal in their kitchen. The lighting is bright, the colors are vibrant, and the caption is something utterly mundane and cheerful. Just another beautiful day in India with a sunshine emoji, or perhaps it was a cameo video, a paid performance for a fan. You see her, face full of light, delivering a birthday message, her voice chipper, her smile wide, saying, "Sumit and I are just so happy. We wish you all the best." But it's a performance. It's a lie. This isn't happiness. It's a hostage video with better lighting. This isn't a glimpse into their real life. It's a carefully constructed piece of propaganda designed to counteract the truth that bled out for just 3 minutes at 3 in the morning. This is damage control. The deleted story, the one that lasted for less time than it takes to boil a kettle, that is the real story. The polished, smiling photograph that replaced it, that is the cover-up. It's a desperate attempt to paint over a gaping crack in the wall, to pretend that the foundation isn't crumbling to dust. They want you to see the smiles and forget the scream. They want you to focus on the sunshine emoji and dismiss the single terrifying word. But we won't. We can't. Because once you see the disconnect, you can't unsee it. The whiplash is too severe, the contrast too jarring. A soul in torment does not simply post help and then a few hours later feel genuinely, uncomplicatedly joyous. It doesn't work that way. The human heart doesn't pivot that fast unless it's forced to. This sudden shift from abject despair to picture-perfect happiness is the biggest red flag of all. It's the emotional equivalent of a kidnapper forcing their victim to smile for a proof-of-life photo. The smile is there, but the eyes are screaming. And we need to listen to what the eyes are telling us, not what the curated caption says. The entire narrative of their social media presence is now called into question. Every laugh, every shared meal, every loving glance must be re-examined through the lens of that deleted post. It is the key that unlocks the entire puzzle, revealing that the happy facade is just that, a facade. A thin, fragile veneer stretched over a reality that is too dark to show. And the fans, the ones who desperately want to believe in the fairy tale, are already rushing to provide explanations. They are flooding the comments and forums with theories designed to soothe their own anxieties. Oh, she was hacked. It was an accident, she was typing something else. Maybe it was a butt dial post. They are trying to find a rational, innocent explanation for an irrational, sinister event. But let's deconstruct these theories one by one, because they don't just fall apart under scrutiny, they actually reveal the more terrifying truth. Let's start with the most popular theory, the hack. Someone must have gotten into her account. Think about this logically for a moment. Put yourself in the shoes of any public figure, or even just a regular person whose social media has been compromised. What is the very first thing you do once you regain control of your account? The absolute number one priority? You issue a clarification. You post immediately and urgently, "Hey everyone, my account was hacked. That weird post wasn't from me. Everything is okay. I've changed my password and secured my account." You do this to stop the panic, to reassure your followers, to reclaim your own narrative, and to clear your name. It is the universal, instinctual response to being hacked. What have we gotten from Jenny's account? Total, deafening, absolute silence. Not a word, not a follow-up story, not a comment, not a tweet. The help post was erased, and then it was as if it never existed. This silence is not the behavior of an innocent person who was the victim of a prank. This silence is the behavior of someone who is not allowed to speak. Someone who has been told to let it go, to say nothing, to pretend it never happened. If she were truly hacked, the silence would be inexplicable. Why wouldn't she or Sumit, who manages so much of their public-facing life, immediately clear the air? The only reason to remain silent, to let the terrifying implication of that post hang in the air unanswered, is because the implication is true. Because addressing it would mean having to lie, and perhaps a part of her, the part that typed help in the first place, refuses to participate in that lie. The silence isn't proof of a hack, it's proof that she is being silenced. The absence of a denial is, in this context, a confession. An innocent person screams their innocence from the rooftops. A person living in fear stays quiet, hoping the storm passes. Now let's entertain the accident theory. She meant to type something else and it autocorrected, or she posted it by mistake. What could she have possibly been typing at 3 in the morning on a blank black screen that would accidentally become the word help? Was she trying to type hello? Was she trying to search for health food stores near me? It's ludicrous. The word help is a primary powerful 4-letter word. It's not something you type by accident. It's something you type when it's the only word left in your vocabulary that can express the totality of your desperation. And again, even if we were to indulge this fantasy, this wildly improbable scenario that she somehow butt-posted the most specific and alarming word imaginable, the response would be the same as the hacking scenario. You would delete it, and then you would laugh it off. You would post a follow-up. OMG, so embarrassing. I have no idea how that happened. My phone has a mind of its own. LOL. You would make a joke. You would neutralize the alarm. You would explain. But again, what did we get? Silence. The story was deleted with the clinical precision of a secret agent destroying evidence. No explanation, no apology, no oops, just erase. The reaction to the accident is what tells us it was no accident at all. The cover-up is always more revealing than the crime. So, if it wasn't a hack and it wasn't an accident, what was it? We have to look at the context. This story didn't materialize out of nowhere. It didn't emerge from a vacuum of marital bliss. Our sources, people on the ground with knowledge of the situation, are telling us that this post came just hours after a massive screaming fight. A confrontation so loud that neighbors couldn't help but overhear the raised voices, the anger, the desperation. And what was the fight about? The one thing it's always about with them: money. And by extension, control. We're hearing that the argument was about Jenny's complete financial dependence on Sumit, about her lack of autonomy, about the fact that every single rupee she spends is scrutinized, controlled, and doled out by him, and by extension, his family. Imagine that scene. It's late. You're in a country that is not your own, thousands of miles from anyone you know. You've given up everything, your home, your savings, your family, your entire life, for this one person. And you're fighting about the fact that you have no freedom, no power, no agency. You feel trapped. You feel powerless. The argument ends not with a resolution, but with a crushing defeat. He walks away, the issue unresolved, your powerlessness reinforced. You are left alone in the dark with the echoes of that fight ringing in your ears. Your heart is pounding, your mind is racing. You feel utterly and completely alone. You pick up your phone. It's your only connection to the outside world, to the life you left behind. And in a moment of pure, unadulterated desperation, an impulsive act of sheer survival instinct, you open up Instagram, you create a story, you type the only word that matters: help. You throw that digital message in a bottle out into the ocean of the internet with no idea who will see it, but just praying that someone, anyone, will understand. That is not a hack. That is not an accident. That is a primal scream. It was an impulsive act of desperation from a woman at the end of her rope. It was a crack in the carefully constructed dam, and for 3 minutes the truth came rushing out. So why was it deleted? This is the most crucial part of the entire timeline. The deletion is the key. The defenders and the deniers will say, See, she deleted it. That means it was a mistake. She regretted it. They have it completely backward. The deletion is not proof it was a mistake. It's proof that she isn't in control. It's proof that she was caught. Why would she delete her own cry for help? The only logical answer is that someone else saw it and forced her to. Sumit saw it. Perhaps he woke up to his phone buzzing with notifications. Perhaps a friend in a different time zone saw it and messaged him, "Is everything okay with Jenny?" And in that moment, the mask of the loving, supportive husband dropped. Imagine the cold rage, the fury, not that his wife is in pain, but that she dared to show it to the world, that she dared to disrupt the perfect narrative he has worked so hard to build. The conversation that followed was likely not a conversation at all. It was an order. "What is this? Delete it. Now." And she, with no power, no money, and no allies in that house, did what she was told. She erased her own plea for help under duress. The act of deletion becomes a second, more profound act of silencing. First, he created the conditions that made her cry for help. Then he forced her to swallow that cry, to literally erase it from existence. The deletion is the exclamation point on the sentence. It confirms everything. It confirms that she is not in control of her own phone, not in control of her own social media, and therefore not in control of her own voice. Her Instagram is not a window into her life. It is a wall of her prison, and he is the warden who decides what is written on it. Every post you see now, every happy picture, every smiling video must be viewed through this lens. It is not her voice, it is his. It is the voice of her controller, using her face as a mask. This single deleted post is not an isolated incident. We must understand that. It is a symptom of a much larger, more insidious disease, the pattern of isolation that has defined Jenny's entire life in India. To truly grasp the terror of that help post, you have to zoom out and look at the entire landscape of her existence. This is a woman who willingly flew across the world, liquidating her life savings, leaving her children, her grandchildren, and her entire support system behind, all for the promise of love. She placed her entire existence, emotional, financial, and physical, into the hands of one man. Think about the sheer vulnerability of that position. She's in a foreign country where she doesn't speak the language fluently. She is not a local. She stands out. The cultural norms are entirely different from what she has known her entire life. Simple tasks that we take for granted, like going to the grocery store, navigating a government office, or even just making a friend, are monumental challenges. She has no deep-rooted community there. She has no childhood friends to call up for a coffee and a chat. She has no sister she can drop in on when she's feeling down. Her entire social and emotional world has been systematically shrunk until it contains only one person, Sumit. And what about her financial situation? This is a cornerstone of control in any abusive dynamic. Jenny arrived in India with her American retirement savings. Over the years, we have watched that money dwindle, spent on rent, on living expenses, on lawyer fees for Sumit's divorce, on setting up their life together. Now, she has repeatedly stated that she has no money of her own. She cannot work legally in India on her visa. She is, in the most literal sense of the word, entirely dependent on Sumit for her survival, for food, for shelter, for every single thing she needs. This financial dependence is not just a practical problem, it is a golden cage. She can't leave even if she wanted to. Where would she go? How would she buy a plane ticket? How would she even get to the airport? When you control someone's money, you control their movement, you control their choices, you control their life. This financial control is a weapon, and it's one that has been wielded to keep her in line. We've heard rumors of arguments over spending, of her feeling like she has to ask for permission to buy the smallest things. This creates a dynamic not of a partnership, but of a parent and a child, or worse, a keeper and a pet. Her autonomy has been stripped away, piece by piece, under the guise of love and necessity. And then there is the family, Sumit's parents, Anil and Sahna. From the very beginning, their disapproval has been a constant, oppressive force in Jenny's life. They have shamed her, rejected her, threatened to disown their son over her. For years, Jenny lived with the ambient stress of knowing she was the source of this massive familial rift. She was the unwelcome outsider, the woman who was not good enough, the homewrecker. This creates a profound sense of psychological isolation. Even when she was in the same room with them, she was utterly alone, judged and found wanting. While they may have reached a fragile surface-level truce, the underlying dynamic of disapproval has not vanished. It has simply gone underground. His family represents a powerful cultural and familial bloc that she can never truly be a part of. They are a constant reminder that, in their eyes, she does not belong. When you are living in a household or a community where the matriarch and patriarch despise your very presence, it grinds you down. It erodes your self-worth. It makes you feel like you are constantly walking on eggshells, desperate for an approval that will never come. So, let's put all the pieces on the board. She's in a foreign country. She has a language barrier. She has no independent social circle. She has no money of her own. She cannot work. And she is married into a family that has a long and documented history of vehemently rejecting and controlling her. Who could she even call for help? If she were to pick up the phone and call her daughters in America, what could they realistically do from 8,000 miles away? They could offer emotional support, yes, but they can't physically intervene. They can't pull her out of a dangerous situation in the middle of the night. Her isolation is near total. It is a carefully constructed prison, whether Sumit consciously designed it that way or not. It is the perfect environment for control and abuse to fester, unseen and unchecked. In that context, the help story is no longer just a cryptic post. It is a desperate message in a bottle, thrown out to the entire world because the world is the only resource she has left. She couldn't send a text to a friend to come and pick her up. She couldn't go to her mother's house for the night. She couldn't withdraw cash from her own bank account and check into a hotel. All the normal escape routes, all the safety nets that we take for granted have been cut away from her. The only tool she had left was her public platform. The only people she could reach were the thousands of strangers who followed her online. It was a desperate, last-ditch effort to signal that the happy facade was a lie and that she was drowning behind it. It was a gamble, hoping that someone, anyone, would see it and understand the depth of her isolation and her fear. This is why we have to learn to read between the lines. From this moment forward, we must approach every piece of content that comes from their shared social media accounts with a healthy dose of suspicion and a critical eye. They have shown us the mask, but they have also, for a brief, fleeting moment, shown us the face behind it. We cannot allow them to trick us into believing the mask is real ever again. So, when you see a new post, don't just look at what they post. Look at what they don't post. Are the comments turned off? That's a red flag. Are negative or concerned comments being deleted at an alarming rate? That's a red flag. Look for the moments of silence after a period of high activity. Look for the gaps. The truth is in the gaps. It's in the things that are left unsaid, in the photos that are never taken, in the questions that are never answered. When you see a video of them together, don't just listen to the words. Watch her body language. Watch her eyes. Is she making genuine eye contact, or is she looking to the side as if for approval? Is her smile reaching her eyes, or is it just a contraction of the muscles in her mouth? It's called a Pan Am smile, a term for a fake, forced expression of happiness. We need to become experts in spotting it. Look for the subtle flinches, the moments of hesitation before she speaks, the way her posture might change when he enters the frame. These are the non-verbal cues that betray the scripted reality they are trying to sell us. The truth is terrifying because it suggests that the reality show we watched was only the beginning of the story. We saw the courtship, the drama with the parents, the wedding. We thought it was the happy ending. But what if it was just the prologue? The prologue to a much darker story that is unfolding now, off camera, in the quiet, unfilmed moments of their life. The story of a woman who is realizing that the dream she sacrificed everything for has become a nightmare from which she can't wake up. We must pay attention to the captions. Are they generic and overly positive, filled with meaningless platitudes and emojis? That's often a sign of someone trying too hard to project an image that doesn't match their reality. Real life is messy and complicated. A social media feed that is relentlessly, one-dimensionally perfect is almost always a lie. Look for signs of her individual voice. Does she ever post on her own, about her own thoughts, her own feelings, without Sumit being the central focus? Or has her entire online identity been subsumed into their identity as a couple? The erasure of the individual is a key tactic of control. And the truth is, this isn't just about Jenny and Sumit. This is about a larger pattern we see time and time again in these relationships, where vast power imbalances are romanticized and sold to us as epic love stories. We as an audience have a responsibility. We are the only witnesses they have left. The television cameras have gone home. The producers have moved on to the next couple. It's just them and us, the digital community watching from afar. And our attention, our scrutiny, might be the only form of accountability that exists in this situation. The chilling reason the post was deleted is because it was true. It was a moment of weakness, a moment of courage, a moment when the real Jenny, the scared and isolated Jenny, broke through the character of the happy American wife in India that she is forced to play every single day, and it was immediately crushed. It was stamped out by the person who has the most to lose if the truth ever came out. The deletion was a show of force. It was a silent digital threat. You will not do that again. You will not embarrass me. You will stick to the script. We need to ask ourselves the hard questions. Are we just passively consuming entertainment, or are we bearing witness to a potential human tragedy unfolding in slow motion? The line is becoming increasingly blurred. That help post crossed the line. It took this out of the realm of reality TV drama and into the realm of a potential real-life crisis. And we cannot, in good conscience, simply change the channel. We have to keep watching, not for the drama, but for her safety. We have to signal to her, through our comments, through our shares, through our discussions, that we saw her message. We heard her. We are here. We are watching. And we will not be fooled by the happy facade. The truth is in the gaps. And the truth is that for 3 minutes, a woman in a desperate situation reached out for a lifeline. The question now is, will we be that lifeline for her? Or will we let her be pulled back under by the silence? This situation requires a new level of media literacy from us as viewers. We are no longer just fans. We have become digital detectives, piecing together clues from a carefully controlled narrative to try and understand what is happening behind closed doors. Every post is a piece of evidence. Every deleted comment is a clue. Every forced smile is a potential signal. The stakes are no longer about ratings or about who is the fan favorite. The stakes, I fear, may be about a woman's well-being and her freedom. And that is a responsibility that we should all take very, very seriously. The game has changed. The fun and games of the reality show have given way to a much more serious reality. We must adjust our perspective accordingly and understand that our collective attention is a powerful tool. Let's use it wisely. The performance we are seeing is not for a television network anymore. It's for us, the audience. We are the ones they are trying to convince. Sumit knows that their public perception is tied to their income through things like Cameo, social media promotions, and potential future television appearances. A happy, successful international love story is a marketable brand. A story of control, isolation, and desperation is not. Therefore, maintaining the illusion of happiness is not just a matter of personal pride. It's a matter of financial necessity. This adds another layer of complexity and pressure to the situation. Jenny is not just being coerced into pretending for the sake of Sumit's feelings or his family's honor. She is being coerced into participating in a business, the business of Jenny and Sumit. She is a reluctant and perhaps terrified employee in a company where her own husband is her boss, and her life is the product being sold. Think about the psychological toll of that. To not only feel trapped, but to be forced to perform a version of your life that is a complete lie, and to know that your survival depends on how convincing that performance is. It is a level of mental and emotional torment that is difficult to comprehend. Every time she has to smile for a selfie or record a cheerful video message for a stranger, a part of her must be screaming inside. And one night at 3 a.m., that scream found a way out. It manifested as a single word on a black screen. It was the purest, most unfiltered expression of her reality that we have ever been allowed to see. We must also consider the possibility of digital isolation. We see her with a phone, we see her on Instagram, and we assume she has an open line to the world. But is that true? It's incredibly easy to control someone's digital life without them being completely cut off. Is her phone monitored? Does Sumit know her passwords? Does he check her direct messages? The deletion of the story strongly suggests that he has, at the very least, immediate access to and control over her account. What does that mean for her private communications? Can she even have a private conversation with her daughters without it being read? Can she Google for resources or help without her search history being checked? This form of control is insidious because it's invisible. From the outside, it looks like she has a phone just like anyone else. But in reality, that phone might not be a tool of connection. It might be a tool of surveillance, a listening device that her own husband has placed in her hand. This would explain the totality of the silence. She can't post a clarification because he controls the account. She can't send a private message to a friend explaining what happened because he might read it. She is trapped in a digital panopticon where she is always being watched, her every digital move scrutinized. The help post was a daring escape over the wall, and she was immediately caught and dragged back inside. And now the walls are likely higher, the surveillance more intense. This is why our role as public witnesses is so vital. The abuser thrives in darkness and secrecy. They count on the fact that no one is watching, or that if people are watching, they will believe the lie, the carefully crafted facade. Our job is to shine a floodlight on this situation, to scrutinize every post, to question every perfect picture, to discuss the inconsistencies, and to keep the memory of that deleted help post alive. We cannot allow it to be buried and forgotten. It must become the lens through which we view everything that follows. When we comment, "Jenny, are you okay? We saw the post," we are not just asking a question. We are sending a message to her, and just as importantly, we are sending a message to him. We are saying, we are watching, we know. You are not operating in the dark anymore. The more people who are aware of the situation, the more pressure there is on the controller to maintain the illusion, and the more difficult it becomes to escalate the control. A public spotlight is a powerful deterrent. It can, in some cases, act as an invisible shield. The more people who know the truth, the safer she might be. This is why sharing this video, talking about it with other fans, and keeping the conversation going is not just about gossip. It's about collective vigilance. It's about creating a community of care around a person who has been systematically stripped of her own. Let's re-examine the fight that allegedly preceded the post. The topic of money is so potent because it's never just about money. It's about power, independence, and respect. For Jenny, who was an independent woman in America with her own career and her own home, to be reduced to a position of asking for an allowance must be profoundly humiliating. It's a complete reversal of her life's identity. The fight over money was likely a fight for her own sense of self. It was a fight to be seen as a partner, not a dependent. And when she lost that fight, when her powerlessness was reinforced, she was pushed to a breaking point. The impulse to post "help" was the last recourse of a sovereign individual crying out from underneath the weight of a controlling relationship. It was a protest. It was an act of rebellion. It was her saying, "But I am still here, the person I used to be is still inside me, and she is in trouble." The deletion forced upon her by Sumit was his way of saying, "No, she is not. That person is gone. There is only us now. There is only the narrative I control." It's a battle for her very soul, being fought in the public square of social media, and most people don't even realize they are watching it happen. They see a deleted story and a happy photo and move on. But we can't move on. We have to understand the profound significance of that sequence of events. It is a classic textbook pattern of coercive control, playing out right before our eyes. We have a duty to recognize it, to name it, and to refuse to look away. The silence that followed is the silence of fear. The happy posts that followed are the propaganda of a captor. We must learn to tell the difference, because a woman's safety could very well depend on it. The very nature of their relationship, celebrated on television, is built on a foundation of extreme sacrifice, almost entirely on her part. She sacrificed her country, her culture, her proximity to her family, her financial stability, and her social circle. What, in comparison, has he sacrificed? He is still in his home country, surrounded by his culture, with his family nearby, even if they are disapproving. He maintains the power position. This inherent imbalance was always a risk, a vulnerability in their story. What we are seeing now is the potential realization of that risk. The grand romantic gesture of leaving everything behind for love can, over time, become the bars of a cage. The romance fades, and you are left with the cold, hard reality of your own dependence and isolation. This is a cautionary tale, a chilling reminder that the dynamics of power in a relationship are real and have serious consequences. The help post was a distress signal, indicating that the power imbalance in their relationship may have shifted from a romantic challenge to a dangerous, controlling reality. And we, the audience, are the only ones who saw that signal. We have a moral obligation not to ignore it. The chilling reason the post was deleted is because it exposed the truth, and the truth is something her controller cannot afford to let out. But it's out. For 3 minutes, the truth was out. And it is our job to make sure it is never, ever forgotten. We must keep asking the question, for her and for all the others who might be suffering in silence. What happens when the cameras stop rolling? And what can we do when we suspect the answer is something terrifying? The first step is to see. The second is to speak. And that is what we are doing here today. We will not be silent. Let's dig deeper, beyond the surface-level analysis, into the mechanics of this control. We need to understand the psychology at play, because what we are witnessing is a masterclass in coercive control, hidden in plain sight. Let's talk about the brand, the business that is Jenny and Sumit. After the show, their public image is their only real asset. It's what gets them the cameo requests, the Instagram sponsorships, the potential for follow-up shows, and Sumit, who has shown himself to be incredibly conscious of his family's and society's perception of him, is the CEO of this brand. Jenny is not his partner in this business. She is the lead actress, and she is expected to play her part. The part she is required to play is that of the blissfully happy, slightly ditzy, older American woman who found her fairy tale prince in India. Her role is to validate his choices, to prove to his parents and the world that he was right all along. She must be perpetually grateful, perpetually cheerful, perpetually in love. Any deviation from this script, a sad expression, a frustrated comment, or God forbid, a public cry for help, threatens the entire enterprise. It shatters the brand. It exposes the fairy tale as a fraud. And that is something the CEO cannot and will not tolerate. So when that help post went live, it wasn't just a personal embarrassment for Sumit. It was a 5-alarm fire at the corporate headquarters. It was a product recall. It was a stock market crash for their personal brand. His reaction, the swift, silent deletion, was not that of a concerned husband. It was the cold, calculated reaction of a crisis manager. Step 1, contain the breach. Delete the post. Step 2, initiate a counter-messaging campaign. Post a happy photo a few hours later. Step 3, enforce message discipline. Ensure the actress does not go off script again. This is why the silence is so complete. She has been reminded of the terms of her contract, a contract she likely never realized she was signing. Her real feelings are a liability to the brand, and they must be suppressed at all costs. Now let's analyze his online presence. Have you ever noticed how Sumit's individual posts, when he makes them, are often about his journey, his struggles, his growth? He is the protagonist of his own story. Jenny is a central character, yes, but she is there to facilitate his narrative arc. She is the prize he won after battling his family. She is the proof of his romantic, rebellious spirit. Her role is defined entirely in relation to him. But what about her narrative? Where is her story told in her own voice about her own struggles and her own triumphs in India? It doesn't exist. It has been completely absorbed by him. Her Instagram has become a joint account in spirit, if not in name. It is a marketing tool for the Jenny and Sumit brand, a brand that he controls. He is the puppet master, and she is the one on the strings. Every smiling photo is him pulling the strings. Every cheerful caption is him moving her lips. Let's look at their content through this new lens. A few weeks ago, they posted a video of themselves cooking a meal together. It looked idyllic. They were laughing, playfully bumping into each other in the kitchen. The caption was something like, "Cooking up some love. 90-day Fiance hatch love in India." Thousands of fans commented on how happy they looked. But watch it again. Watch it closely. Notice how Jenny's eyes frequently dart off camera, towards him whenever she speaks. It's a subtle, almost imperceptible checking motion. Is she looking for approval? Is she making sure she's saying the right thing, performing correctly? Notice how he physically leads every action. He's the one explaining the ingredients. He's the one guiding her hands. She's a passive participant in her own kitchen. It's presented as him teaching her, but the dynamic is one of complete control. He is the expert. She is the novice. He is the leader. She is the follower. This dynamic is repeated in nearly every piece of content they produce. It is the steady, thrumming baseline of their entire public life. He is in charge. And consider the context of that alleged fight over money. If he controls all the finances, then he also controls the food they buy, the activities they do, the very content they are able to create. That idyllic cooking video may have been preceded by an argument where she felt shamed for wanting to buy a more expensive ingredient, or where she was told they couldn't afford something she wanted. The video then becomes not a spontaneous moment of joy, but a staged piece of corrective propaganda. It's a performance designed to say, "See, everything is fine. The argument you overheard didn't happen. We are happy. I am a good provider. She is a grateful wife." Every public act of affection, every shared smile, must be questioned as a potential overcorrection for a private moment of conflict and control. Now, let's talk about his family. The narrative they want to sell is that his parents have finally, grudgingly, come to accept Jenny. We see the occasional photo of them all together, a stiffly posed group shot at a family function. The fans see this and breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, good, they think. The conflict is over. They can finally be happy. But is that what's really happening? Or is the family's acceptance entirely conditional? Is it predicated on Jenny's total and complete submission to their way of life, and more specifically to Sumit's control over her? Our sources suggest that the family's truce is less about accepting Jenny and more about reestablishing control over Sumit. For years, he was the rebellious son. By marrying Jenny, he defied them. But now, with Jenny completely dependent on him and him still enmeshed in his family's world, the power dynamic has shifted. His parents may now see the situation as manageable. Their son is still in India. He is in charge of his older foreign wife. She has no power, no influence. She has been effectively neutralized. In this context, their acceptance is not a kindness. It is a declaration of victory. They have won. She has been assimilated not as an equal, but as a subordinate. She is under their family's dominion via their son. This makes the family's presence not a comfort, but an additional layer of surveillance. She's not just being watched by her husband, she's being watched by her in-laws. Every action, every word is being judged against their cultural expectations. Does she dress appropriately? Is she a properly deferential wife? Is she respecting their traditions? The pressure must be immense. She is living in a glass house, not just with the public, but with a family that has already proven its capacity for cruelty and rejection. So when she posted help, who was she hiding from? Was it just Sumit? Or was it the fear of his entire family finding out, of the shame and anger that would be directed at her for disrupting the fragile peace? It adds another lock to the door of her cage. She can't speak out, not just for fear of her husband, but for fear of the entire familial structure that surrounds and entraps her. This brings us to the sinister, insidious tactic of gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation where a person or group makes someone question their own sanity, perception of reality, or memories. It's a hallmark of emotional abuse, and we are seeing a mass gaslighting campaign play out on their social media. The help post was real. We saw it. It happened. It was a clear signal of distress, but by deleting it, by saying nothing, and by immediately posting overwhelmingly happy content, they are trying to make us, the viewers, question what we saw. They are trying to make us question our own concern. They want you to think, well, look how happy she is in that new photo. I must have overreacted. I must have misinterpreted the help post. Maybe it really was just an accident. I'm being silly. I'm being a drama queen. They are actively trying to invalidate your own correct intuitive response to a cry for help. They are gaslighting their entire audience. And if they can do that to thousands of strangers, imagine what the gaslighting is like for Jenny, inside that house. When she says, I feel controlled, I feel like I have no money, he can say, what are you talking about? You're crazy. Look at our wonderful life. I do everything for you. You're just being ungrateful. You're misremembering our fight. Over time, this constant invalidation of your reality erodes your sanity. You start to believe them. You start to think, maybe I am the crazy one. Maybe I am ungrateful. Maybe this is what happiness is supposed to feel like, and I'm just too broken to appreciate it. The silence surrounding the help post is a form of gaslighting. By refusing to acknowledge it, they are creating a reality where it never happened, and they are inviting us all to live in that false reality with them. We must refuse. We must hold on to the truth of what we saw. We must refuse to be gaslit into complicity. Let's talk about the blink and you'll miss it clues. Since the help post, our community has been watching their accounts like hawks, and the clues are there if you know what to look for. A few days ago, a fan left a comment on a photo of them. It was a simple, supportive comment. It said, Jenny, I hope you are truly okay, sending you love and strength. It was not accusatory, it was not aggressive. It was a message of support. Within 5 minutes, it was gone. Deleted. We know because we have the screenshot. Why delete a comment like that? If everything is fine, why not just leave it? You delete it because it punctures the narrative. It's a reminder of the forbidden topic. It's a crack in the wall. And the brand manager, Sumit, must immediately spackle over that crack. The frantic deleting of concerned comments is a full-time job, and it's one of the most telling signs that they have something to hide. They are not curating a fan page, they are scrubbing a crime scene. We also received an anonymous DM from someone who claims to be a neighbor. We cannot verify this independently, so we present it as an insider report. This person claims that the arguments are frequent and that Jenny is often seen looking sad and withdrawn when she is in the common areas of their building alone. The report said, and I quote, "The person you see on Instagram is a different person from the one I see waiting for the elevator. The public one is bright, the private one is a ghost. Again, we cannot confirm this, but it aligns perfectly with the pattern of a public facade hiding a private torment. It paints a picture of a woman who has to put on a mask the moment she steps outside her door, or the moment a camera is turned on. This brings us to the question that so many people ask, the question that is always used to dismiss concerns about women in these situations. Why doesn't she just leave? It's a simple question with a devastatingly complicated answer. To ask it is to reveal a profound lack of understanding of the dynamics of control, isolation, and trauma. First, the logistics. As we've established, she has no independent access to money. How does one just leave without a bank account, without a credit card, without cash? How does she book a flight from India to the United States with no money? How does she even get a taxi to the airport? And where would she go? She sold her home in America. She liquidated her assets. Arriving on her daughter's doorstep, a woman in her 60s with nothing to her name, would be a monumental act fraught with shame and difficulty. The financial and logistical barriers are, for all intents and purposes, insurmountable without outside help. Second, the psychological barriers. This is the part that is so hard for people to understand from the outside. When you have sacrificed everything for a person, for a relationship, admitting that it was a mistake is not just heartbreaking. It feels like an admission that your entire life for the past decade has been a failure. The shame can be paralyzing. She would have to face everyone who ever warned her, everyone who said this was a bad idea, and admit that they were right. That is an incredibly difficult thing for anyone to do. Furthermore, we cannot discount the possibility of a trauma bond. A trauma bond is a powerful, unhealthy attachment that forms between an abuser and the person they are abusing. It's a cycle of abuse followed by apologies, love bombing, and promises to change. This cycle creates a powerful chemical bond in the brain, similar to an addiction. The victim becomes addicted to the highs of the good times, and they endure the lows in the hope that the good times will return. Jenny has been through so much with Sumit, the years of him catfishing her, the discovery of his first marriage, the battle with his parents. Their entire relationship is founded on overcoming massive dramas. This can easily create a trauma bond where she mistakes the intensity of the drama for the intensity of love. Leaving in that state feels like leaving the only source of love you have, even if that source is also the source of your pain. And finally, there is fear. The fear of the unknown is powerful. The fear of starting over in your 60s with nothing is terrifying. But there may also be a more immediate, tangible fear. We don't know what happens behind those closed doors. We don't know what is said when the camera is off. The man who would force his wife to delete a cry for help is a man who is obsessed with control. And when a controller feels they are losing control, they often escalate their behavior. Is she afraid of his anger? Is she afraid of what he might do if she tried to leave? We have no evidence of physical abuse, and we are not making that accusation. But coercive control is, in itself, a terrifying and dangerous form of abuse. The fear it instills is real, and it is paralyzing. So, why doesn't she just leave? Is the wrong question. It places the blame and the responsibility on the victim. The right question is, why is he making it impossible for her to leave? The right question is, what systems are in place that are enabling this control and trapping her? The focus must be on the actions of the controller, not the inaction of the person being controlled. We are now moving beyond a simple social media breakdown. We are in the territory of a real-time welfare check, conducted by a global community of concerned strangers. The stakes have been raised. This is no longer about celebrity gossip. It's about a human being. It's about a woman who gambled everything on love and may have lost in the most catastrophic way imaginable. Our speculation, our theories, our insider reports, they are all aimed at one thing, keeping a spotlight on her. We are creating a narrative so compelling, so full of twists and turns, that people cannot look away. And in this specific, unique case, that attention is a form of protection. So what do? We continue to watch. We continue to question. We refuse to accept the happy facade at face value. We screenshot the deleted comments. We share the inconsistencies. We discussed body language. We become 1,000 digital eyes, a collective witness that cannot be easily dismissed or silenced. When you comment, don't just say, "You look so happy." Instead, try, "Jenny, we are thinking of you and hope you are well." Or, "Thinking of you, Jenny, sending you strength." These messages, even if they get deleted, send a signal. They tell her she is not alone, and they tell him that we haven't forgotten. This is a call for a new kind of audience participation, one that transcends passive consumption and becomes active vigilance. Do you think this was a real cry for help or a simple mistake? After everything we have laid out, is mistake even a plausible option anymore? Drop your theory in the comments. Let's create a record of our concern. And please subscribe to this channel and share this video. It is not about clicks or views for me. It is about amplifying this message until it cannot be ignored. The more people who are watching, who understand the subtext of what they're seeing, the safer she might be. We are moving this out of the shadows and into the light. And it is in the light that the truth has the best chance of surviving. The next time you see a post from them, a perfect selfie with a perfect smile and a perfect caption, I want you to remember the image we started with. The black screen, the stark white text, the single desperate word, because that image is the truth. It is the reality that flickered into view for just 180 seconds before the performance was put back in place. One is the carefully constructed lie, designed to sell a product. The other was a moment of pure, unfiltered reality, and it was a scream. Our job is to make sure that someone, somehow, is listening. Don't look at the smiles, look for the scream. It's there in the silence, in the gaps, in the eyes of a woman who may be sending us the only message she can. We have to be smart enough, and we have to care enough to receive it. The show may be over, but the story is not. And the most dangerous part may have only just begun. We will keep watching. You should too.